Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I am Josh Flanagan.
Analysts like to say that this is potentially the last console generation, with the rise of mobile and tablets spelling certain doom for dedicated entertainment devices like the Xbox One and PS4.
But analysts say lots of stuff, and lots of it is wrong.
Nice work, Michael Pachter.
In a massive new article published by The Verge about the current state of the Xbox One and the missteps it made at its launch, Xbox head Phil Spencer states fairly definitively that Microsoft will produce another Xbox after the Xbox One.
When asked about whether or not Xbox might move toward an app or a marketplace as all-in-one devices supplant consoles, Spencer replied that he fully expects that, quote, "You'll see another console from us. Our best customers are Xbox console customers, and I want to keep those people engaged both on the Xbox One and anything we might do in the future." Is Microsoft already thinking about the next generation? Was this Star Trek?
Just a couple months ago, Spencer unabashedly conceded that Microsoft is going to be the second place finisher to Sony this generation. Speaking at GeekWire, he acknowledged that Sony's massive lead was going to be too hard to catch, and that Microsoft was more concerned about creating new customers and keeping them engaged than winning. Yeah, that's what second place always says.
Good mentality, though. I like it. I like the idea that they just try to make something awesome. It's gone to the point where Microsoft is no longer announcing sales numbers, with the lead so far out of Microsoft's sight. Could Microsoft be truncating the current console generation for themselves and thinking about maybe getting a head start next time around? It's possible. Right now, Sonys Success is so far off the charts that not even Shuhei Yoshida, the head of Sony Worldwide Studios, could really pinpoint a reason for it even as late as last year, when he told Eurogamer, "I for one am a bit nervous because we do not completely understand what's happening. You need to understand why your products are selling well so you can plan for the future, right?"
Luckily, he thinks he's gotten it figured out now, having recently told GameSpot that while they set out to make a supercomputer with the PS3, with PS4 they set out to make a gaming machine that was first and foremost easy for both developers and consumers to use.
Which was also a huge turnaround from PS3, since that was a bitch to develop for.
Yeah, in his mind, that made all the difference too. That and not costing $600, or whatever the PS3 costs, or having historically accurate games with giant enemy crabs.
Ridge Racer!
So far, the PlayStation 4 has sold more than 30 million units worldwide. Not too shabby. It's completely outpacing the artist formerly known as the best-selling console of all time, the PS2, by the same point in its record-setting generation.
Wow.
It is important, I know, right? It's important to note here that even though everyone thinks of the Xbox One as failing, it's actually still outselling the Xbox 360 at this point, at the same point in its life cycle, taking less time to get to its current standing of 17 million or so in console sales. It's just that the PlayStation 4 is selling like hotcakes, which must sell pretty fast. And has anyone ever actually seen a hotcake in the wild? No, you haven't.
Actually, a hotcake, Ashley, is just a normal pancake. And fun fact, when they came out in the 1800s, they were just as popular as PlayStation 4s.
I like the fact that they had a release date.
It did. And according to Bloomberg, they don't actually sell that well at all anymore, which is very sad for breakfast. Maybe it's time to change the idiom.
Shut up, nerd. Don't tell IHOP that. So, what would it actually take for Microsoft to beat Sony next time around? Better hardware would be at the top of the list, as it always is when these discussions start, except when it comes to CPU-intensive tasks. The Xbox One shows its underpowered colors compared to the PlayStation 4, particularly when it comes to the types of frame rate issues we've seen in recent releases like Fallout 4 and Just Cause 3. The PS4 is simply more powerful, even though it hasn't been immune to its share of problems.
Well, if the Windows 10 experiment works for Xbox One, future integration could be key to Microsoft's next console as well. With Xbox One now running on Microsoft's OS, it enables new features like PC streaming and crossplay with a number of titles on both Xbox One and PC.
Now, they also need to figure out a way to get European gamers to jump in, because traditionally, Sony dominates sales in Europe, even when the Xbox 360 was #1 here in the US last generation. And as for Japan, well, Xbox reception there is about the same as it was on the 360 launch day, which is to say there's nothing. Besides, Japan is shifting away from consoles and more into mobile and, oddly enough, pachinko.
Xbox Pachinko, just confirmed by Ashley, coming to Tokyo in 2016.
By Konami.
If Microsoft isn't already asking themselves these questions, we know that Nintendo definitely is, now that they're sitting in a very uncomfortable third place to Sony and Microsoft. The Wii U is selling even more slowly than the GameCube, which is basically the worst selling Nintendo console ever.
Shut your mouth, it had a handle. That console was glorious.
Could take it anywhere.
Nintendo is poised to do something radical next generation, and there's been a lot of rumors about Nintendo's supposed next entry into the console race and what gimmick this one will have. Funhouse has been covering these in depth lately and took an extensive look at one of Nintendo's potential new patents for the system, which revolves around cloud-based computing to scale the system's graphics up via the web.
There's also been another patent unearthed by NeoGAF today, which could shed some light on what Nintendo plans to do with its next controller. The patent covers what appears to be Sharp's freeform display technology to make use of the shape of the controller in unique and interesting ways. It's been long rumored that Nintendo would be one of Sharp's first customers for the LCD technology, giving them ways to display handheld screens in new shapes and sizes.
As per usual, Nintendo's name isn't actually anywhere on the patent, but it does include the names of a few Nintendo employees. There's a lot of techno speak to sort through, but it basically boils down to the idea that Nintendo could do away with buttons completely, allowing them to be configured via touchscreen on the freeform display. Players could shift the buttons around based on what's most comfortable for them, or the buttons could only appear contextually when needed. The patent also mentions that you could put directional actions immediately beneath the joysticks, or allow players to select from an inventory that appears on the screen. Kind of some cool ideas. It's like the gamepad, but it's a controller, but it's kind of all of it at once.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that your thumbs could literally be blocking some of the viewing area on the screen, but the idea does sound pretty cool. When you add this and rumors about the NX to the scuttlebutt that Nintendo is aggressively aiming for 20 million units by the end of 2016, it's pretty apparent that Nintendo wants to go all in on its next generation hardware, both for handheld and console alike.
Especially if they're the same thing. Both Nintendo and Microsoft know it's gonna take a lot to push Sony off its throne, and in some ways it seems like they've both devised a strategy straight out of 1983 from the movie War Games. The only winning move is not to play.
Its launch game will be tic-tac-toe.
Whether or not Microsoft is speeding towards its next console, we know that they've resigned themselves to second fiddle for the time being, and instead want to put a bigger focus on games and the services they can offer for players. That's good for gamers, that being all of us.
And this is the same thing that happened to Sony last generation. After the PlayStation 2, they thought they were too big to fail, and all that hubris spiraled out of control at one of the biggest E3 cringe fests of all time.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good time.
We're talking about that amazingly awful 2006 press conference which featured giant crabs,
Massive damage. Ridge Racer.
and Kaz Hirai beaming while he announced the price point like Sony was benevolently doing gamers a favor. Really, the trajectory Microsoft followed after the 360 and heading into the Xbox One is remarkably similar.
Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, or something. I don't know. I didn't pay attention. As a result, we got the PlayStation 4, which apparently has some sort of secret sauce that still eludes Sony, but whatever it is, gamers love it. Maybe Microsoft's current introspection could produce similar results in whatever they bring out next for gamers.
Yay, capitalism!
Yeah.
Woo! Aren't rumors fun? Oh my goodness.
I like rumors. That's all we got these days anyway, because
That's
all
it.
the big games are out for this year, so it's all rumors from here on out.
Well, more importantly than rumors, if we can't say things are selling like hotcakes, what can we say instead? Why don't y'all let us know in the comments below?
They're selling like Josh's underpants. Stay apprised of all Microsoft rumors and the current state of pancake sales by liking this video and, of course, subscribing to The Know.
Shut up, Zach. Shut your
Have
fucking
some
mouth.
respect, Zach. Alright, and there we go. I'll bet your underwear would take a lot on eBay.
In Japanese vending machines, it absolutely does.
Yours
They are
does?
sold out. I haven't been on here in a while, so a little outdated. Okay, I'm ready.
Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley Jenkins.
There's no line. There's no line to read there.
Hold it. Let's go back to the top.